Hello everyone, this is just a quick video to talk about the dashboard lighting in the MX5. So a while back I put in some LED lighting in the instrument cluster and in the HVAC controls. It was a pretty decent upgrade overall. The LEDs are much brighter than the original bulbs that were in there. However, what I noticed is after some time some of the LEDs had stopped working, which could be because they'd failed. Sometimes the quality control of these LEDs that come out of China is not very good. But more likely, I think, is that the pins on the LEDs are not making proper contact with the electrical contacts. So what I'm going to do is pull out the instrument cluster, and I'm also going to pull out the HVAC controls, and I can show you how all the LEDs fit in there. Right, so I'm going to start with the instrument cluster. So to remove this, it's a three-stage process. First you need to take off this cowl, then you've got to take off this kind of hood thing, and then finally there's some screws behind there to allow you to draw the instrument cluster out. So the cowl is pretty simple. There's just a couple of screws in here, and at the back of the cowl there's another screw hole which goes in here, right in the corner here. And once you've loosened up all the clips, you should just be able to remove the cowl. So the next job is to remove the hood. Now, before you can do that, you have to remove these two screws. There's one on either side. There's one there, and there's another one here. Right, so you have to be a little bit careful when you're removing the hood because there are some tags on it which can break pretty easily. So the trick here is to pull forward, not up, and the tags will release. Okay, so you can see clearly here how the clips work. There's one large one at the back here, two side ones, and then two at the front here as well. So this is why it's very important that you pull the cowl forwards and not up, otherwise you're going to break this clip at the back here. Okay, next job is to remove these screws, and then another two at the bottom. Okay, so if you look through the windscreen you can see quite clearly what needs to happen here. So there's a clip there, another clip here, and the speedo cable. Now the clips are just quite easy. I've already undone these, but basically you just undo the clip with a little screwdriver and you can just pull it out. Same on that side. Speedo cable actually just pops out, so what I usually do is just hold the back of the instrument cluster just above where the speedo cable is. So grab it on either side of the speedo cable, give it a little tug, and it should just pop out. Okay, so once you've got the cluster out this far, there is actually another cable which needs to be removed if you're going to remove it completely, which is this one down there. But in actual fact, you can access all of the bulbs fine with it like this. So, the bulbs that we need to change are the ones that are a slightly different colour on the back here. You can see that most of them are this kind of black colour, like that one at the top there. Those are all dashboard warning lights. So the ones at the top are the indicators, the ones down the bottom here are for lights in the actual dashboard. But then you can see that these ones are kind of a greeny colour. Those are the actual dashboard lights. Those are the ones you want to change out. Now in my case, I've already done this job, but the problem I've got is that this one in particular on the left hand side keeps going out. The problem is going to be connections on the back of the board here and also on this bulb itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a bit of WD-40 just to make sure those are clean, and then I'm going to pop it all back and hopefully that will fix the problem. Right, let's pop this cluster back into place then. Okay, so let's just check whether these are working. Right, we still seem to have a bit of an issue with this one at the bottom here. It's the same one that was giving trouble before. Okay, so I've taken out the slightly dodgy one again, and what I'm doing now is I'm just trying to get some WD-40 down into these terminals. One of the problems with these LED lamps is that the connection is just this tiny little thin bit of wire, so any sort of corrosion at all, it's going to eventually stop working because that's such a tiny small contact area. Okay, let's get this back in this holder. If it doesn't work the first time, the first thing to do is to turn it around and do it in the other way, because LEDs, they only work in one direction. Okay, so we have all of our lights at the moment, and they all seem to be working. So I'm going to pop this back in now. Okay, so I've replaced all the clips at the back. I've pushed in the speedo cable. So now we can put some screws back into the cluster again to hold it into place. Okay, so fitting the cowl is just a reversal of removal. So you just fit it into place and then give it a good old thump. And then you need to just pop in the screws. And then of course the last step is to just refit this cowl. There we go. And you just need to be careful not to over tighten these screws because they can strip. Okay, and before you finish off, you just want to make sure that all of your dashboard lights are working. Which they all seem to be fine. Right, so to get at these lights behind here, it's a bit of a mission. Basically, we have to take this center console out first, then we're going to take the tombstone out, and that is going to give us access to this panel. So the center console has these screws in the glove box thing here, and then also there's another one under there. There's also another 2 screws, one on each side of the gear lever, one on there, and another one down there. The other thing we have to do is remove the shift lever. Now, with a bit of luck, we should be able to pop this out. Under here we have a connector, which we can either disconnect or with a bit of maneuvering you can just put it out of the way like that, and then now you've got access to this tombstone. Tombstone has a screw down here. In fact, I think there was supposed to be a screw here as well, but it's got missing at some point. And then the other 2 screws are behind these vents. So what you have to do is you have to get some string and feed it into the back of the vent and then out one of the other sides. You can use wire as well, but I prefer to use string because it's less harsh on this plastic here, because this plastic's getting a bit old now. I wouldn't want to accidentally break it. Right, so I've now fed the string in. What I'm going to do now is turn the fan on, and with a bit of luck get the string to blow back out the other side. Okay, so we now have the string out of both sides. And now, all you got to do is just give this a bit of a tug, and voila. And that reveals, I don't know if you can see, it's a bit dark, but up here is a screw, and that's what holds the top of this tombstone on. Right, now we should be able to get this off. Just behind here is a clip, which you need to undo. And then you can pull your tombstone out. Okay, so now we can see how we can access this panel using these 4 screws here. But before we can pull this out, we have to disconnect all of the levers from the back. 2 are on one side and 1 is on the other side. I can't remember which side is which. Right, so for access on the passenger side, what we need to do is remove this glove box. And that is done with some screws down at the bottom here. And then you can just lift this out. Just put that back there for now. Right, now, if you look in here, you can see this is one of the levers. I think this is the, this changes from face to foot. This little loop here is what we need to get off. The easiest way to do that is to free this cable from this little clip here, and then pop the loop off like that. Right, so access from the driver's side is not quite as simple. All we've got to work with is this little panel here, so we'll just take these screws out. Okay. Right, so if we look up in here, we can see there's the other one there, or one of the other ones. This is for the heater control. So once again, we want to remove the cable from that clip there and then pull it out of the loop. Right, so I've freed that one out as well. Okay, so the cable for the air recirculation is not in the middle, it's actually here on the side. And you can see if I pull this, that's recirculate, and that is fresh air. So same process again. And now that's free. Right, so now we are ready to pull this center unit out. Okay, so I've now removed these 4 screws. And now essentially we can pull this center console out. Right, so we've got the HVAC panel out now. It was a bit of a fiddle. I actually had to take the radio out as well, because when I wired up the radio, I actually accidentally caused a bit of a knot of cabling in the back there. Okay, so if we take a look at the back of this panel, we can see that there is an LED there, and there is another one there. So we just need to twist and pull. Right, so I've taken out one of the bulb holders, and the reason that this didn't work very well the last time I did it was because I didn't actually have the right kind of fitting to go into this bulb holder. So I removed an LED from a different type of fitting, and I kind of made my own sort of terminals at the back there that to just kind of stick in there, and it did kind of work. As you can see, the one on the left here is actually still kind of functioning. And also, I'll just demonstrate, if I get these pins in the right place, the LED does actually come on, but it's a bit of a shit solution, to be honest, and yeah, it just didn't stand the test of time. So I now have these correct fittings, which are these, and these have the correct terminal on the bottom, so they are just designed to slot straight in and just work. Obviously you just have to make sure that you put them the right way around, because LEDs only work in one direction. Right, there we go. That's in and that's working. So now I can just slot this back into its little holder. There we go. And there we have light on the front again. Right, there's the bulb holder for the other side. Here's my dodgy LED thing that I made, and now we're just going to replace it with a proper one. Okay, we have lights all working nicely on the HVAC controls there. So now I've just got to basically push this back in again, making sure that I don't snag any of these cables as I go back in. Okay, so everything is now back in place, all the panels are refitted again, and now for the moment of truth. And voila, isn't that beautiful? I even replaced the little light in the ashtray as well. So I think that is job done.